Hello and welcome to this second phase exploring session. Yes, we are looking once again at the famous victories of Henry V, containing the honourable Battle of Agincourt, as it was played by the Queen's Majesty's players. And so we've looked at this before. We've looked at this stopping and starting in our usual explory sense. But today we are going to read, or attempt to read, the whole thing all the way through without stopping. We're not going to be doing stage directions. So apologies to anyone at home desperate for me to be reading those words. I'm not going to be doing that. To vaguely mark where scenes shift, I'm going to occasionally ring a bell, or just do a little bit of this, or do trumpety noises on my faithful kazoo. We will be playing around with ways of demonstrating some actual stage directions, but for the most part they will not be enacted either. And so we're looking to get a sense of the shape of the play, how it moves without stopping and starting, without, taking a day between the two halves of the play, and just having fun, basically. It's the end of the week. We've done the analytical stuff. We're going to have a bit of fun now. So I'm not going to read all of the parts for the people who are coming into play now, but today reading The Prince and later Henry V is...
Sarah Blake. I'm an actor, writer and director living in Germany.
And today reading Jockey and Burgundy and various other peoples is...
Helen Scott, based in Suffolk in the UK.
Today reading the Lord Chief Justice and later a French King is...
Lois Potter, retired academic living in London.
Today reading First Receiver, Boy, Porter, etc. is...
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Amisu and I'm also living in Oxford.
And today reading The Thief and the Dolphin is...
Daniel Yabut, Montpellier, France.
And reading The Cobbler and the Archbishop, amongst others, is...
Hello, Helen Good, historian, Hull.
Reading Henry IV and a French captain and various other people is...
Liza Graham, actor, singer, text coach, 2 actors in London.
And reading Ned and a whole plethora of English soldiers and Katherine is...
Hello, my name's Sascha Cooper and I'm a professional performer based in Brighton in the UK.
Reading Tom, Mayor, soldier, etc. today is...
Lynn Freitas, college writing teacher, the northwestern part of the United States.
And reading a sheriff, Lawrence, English captain is...
I'm here, and I'm Eric. Wait, no, that's the wrong way around. Anyway, I'm Eric, and I'm here. Yeah.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton, and today I'm actually reading a part. Yes, I'm reading Derick today, as well as marking the scene changes so that you can vaguely keep along with the script if you so wish. There's about 20 scenes, and hopefully I'll put in the show notes marking so you can follow the text along if you so wish, because this may be less comprehensible to the viewer at home than our normal sessions, or who knows, it may be more so. So, without further ado, the play is magically going to start.
Come away, Ned and Tom.
Here, my lord.
Here, my lord.
Come away, my lads. Tell me, sirs, how much gold have you got?
Faith, my lord, I have got £500.
But tell me, Tom, how much hast thou got?
Faith, my lord, some £400.
£400? Bravely spoken, lads. But tell me, sirs, think you not that it was a villainous part of me to rob my father's receivers?
Why, no, my lord. It was but a trick of youth.
Faith, Ned, thou sayest true. But tell me, sirs, whereabouts are we?
My lord, we are now about a mile off London.
But, sirs, I marvel that Sir John Oldcastle comes not away. Zoons, see where he comes. How now, Jockey? What news with thee?
Faith, my lord, such news as passes for the town of Deptford is written, with hue and cry after your man, which parted from us the last night, and has set upon and hath robbed a poor carrier.
Zoons, the villain that was wont to spy out our booties?
Aye, my lord, even the very same.
Now, base-minded rascal, to rob a poor carrier? Well, it skills not. I'll save the base villain's life. Aye, I may. But tell me, Jockey, whereabout be the receivers?
Faith, my lord, they are hard by. Best is, we are horseback, and they be afoot, so we may escape them.
Well, if the villains come, let me alone with them. But tell me, Jockey, how much gotst thou from the knaves? For I am sure I got something, but one of the villains so belay me about the shoulders as I shall feel it this month.
Faith, my lord, I've got £100.
£100? Now, bravely spoken, Jockey. But come, sirs, lay all your money before me. Now, by heaven, here is a brave show. But as I am a true gentleman, I will have the half of this spent tonight. But, sirs, take up your bags. Here come the receivers. Let me alone.
Alas, me fellow, what shall we do? I dare never go home to the court, for I shall be hanged. But look, here's the young prince. What shall we do?
How now, you villains? What are you?
Speaking to him.
No, I pray, speak you to him.
Why, how now, you rascals? Why speak you not?
Forsooth we be. Pray, speak you to him.
Zounds, villains, speak, or I'll cut off your heads.
Forsooth, he can tell the tale better than I.
Forsooth, we be your father's receivers.
Are you my father's receivers? Then I hope you have brought me some money.
Money? Alas, sir, we be robbed.
Robbed? How many were there of them?
Marry, sir, there are 4 of them, and one of them had Sir John Oldcastle's bay hobby and your black nag.
Gog's wounds! How like you this, Jockey? Blood, you villains! My father robbed of his money abroad, and we robbed in our stables. But tell me, how many were of them?
If it please you, there were 4 of them, and there was one about the bigness of you. But I'm sure I be so blamed him about the shoulders that he will feel it this month.
Gog's wounds, you lame them fairly, so that they will have carried away your money. But come, sirs, what shall we do with the villains?
I beseech your grace, be good to us.
Grace, be good to us.
Nay, I pray you, my lord, forgive them this once.
Well, stand up and get you gone, and look that you speak not a word of it, for if there be, zounds, I'll hang you and all your kin. Now, sirs, how like you this? Was not this bravely done? For now the villains dare not speak a word of it, I have so feared them with words. Now, whither shall we go?
Why, my lord, you know our old host at Faversham.
Our host at Faversham. Lord, what shall we do there? We have £1,000 about us, and we shall go to a petty alehouse. No. You know the old tavern in Eastcheap? There is good wine. Besides, there is a pretty wench that can talk well, for I delight as much in their tongues as in any part about them.
We are ready to
wait upon your grace.
Gog's wounds, wait. We will go all together. We are all fellows, I tell you, sirs, and the king my father were dead, we would all be kings. Therefore come away.
Gog's wounds, bravely spoken, Harry.
All's well here. All's well, masters.
How say you, neighbour John Cobbler? I think it best that my neighbour Robin Future went to Pudding Lane End, and we will watch here at Billingsgate Ward. How say you, neighbour Robin? How like you this?
Marry, well, neighbours, I care not much if I go to Pudding Lane's End, but, neighbours, an you hear any ado about me, make haste, and if I hear any ado about you, I will come to you.
Neighbour, what news hear you of the young prince?
Marry, neighbour, I hear say he is a toward young prince, for if he met any by the highway, he will not let to talk with him. I dare not call him a thief, but sure he's one of these taking fellows.
Indeed, neighbour, I hear say he's as lively a young prince as ever was.
Aye, and I hear say if he use it long, his father will cut him off from the crown. But neighbour, say nothing of that.
No, neighbour, I warrant you.
Neighbour, methinks you begin to sleep. If you will, we will sit down, for I think it's about midnight.
Marry content, neighbour. Let us sleep.
Whoa! Whoa there! Whoa there!
Oh, neighbours, what mean ye to sleep and such ado in the streets?
How now, neighbour? What's the matter?
How now, neighbour? What's the matter?
Whoa there! Whoa there! Whoa there!
Why, what ailest thou? Here is no horses.
Oh, alas, man, I am robbed. Oh, who there? Whoa there!
Hold him, neighbour Cobbler. Why, I see thou art a plain clown.
Am I a clown? Suits, masters, do clowns go in silk apparel? I am sure all we gentlemen clowns in Kent scant go so well. Suits, you know clowns very well. Here you. Are you Master Constable? And you speak, for I will not take it at his hands.
Faith, I'm not Master Constable, but I'm one of his bad officers, for he's not here.
He's not Master Constable here. Well, no, it is no matter. I'll have the law at his hands.
Nay, I pray you, do not take the law of us.
Well, you are one of his beastly officers.
I am one of his bad officers.
Why then, I charge thee, look to him.
Nay, but hear you, sir. You seem to be an honest fellow, and we are poor men, and now 'tis night, and we would be loath to have anything ado. Therefore I pray thee, put it up.
First, thou sayest true. I am an honest fellow, and a proper handsome fellow too. And you seem to be poor men, therefore I care not greatly. Nay, I am quickly pacified. But you chance to spy the thief, I pray you lay hold on him.
Yes, that we will, I warrant you.
Oh, 'tis a wonderful thing to see how glad the knave is now I have forgiven him.
Neighbours, do ye look about ye? How now, who's there?
Here's a good fellow. I pray you, which is the way to the old tavern in Eastcheap?
Oh, Polar now, Gad's Hill, knowest thou me?
I know thee for an ass.
Oh, and I know thee for a taking fellow upon Gad's Hill in Kent, a bot's light upon you.
The horse and villain would be knocked.
Master's villain? And ye be men, stand to him and take his weapon from him, let him not pass you.
My friend, what make you abroad now? It's too late to walk now.
It is not too late for true men to walk.
We know thee not to be a true man.
Why? What do you mean to do with me? Soon I am one of the king's liege people.
Oh, hear you, sir. Are you one of the king's liege people?
Aye, marry am I, sir. What say you to it?
Marry, sir, I say you are one of the king's filching people.
Come, come, let's have him away.
Why? What have I done?
Thou hast robbed a poor fellow and taken his goods from him.
I never saw him before.
Oh, masters, who comes here?
How now, man Cobbler?
How now, Robin? What makes thou abroad at this time of night?
Mary, I have been at the counter. I can tell such news as never have you heard the like.
What's that, Robin? What's the matter?
Why, this night, about 2 hours ago, there came the young prince and 3 or 4 more of his companions, and called for wine and good store, and then they sent for a noise of musicians, and were very merry for the space of an hour. Then, whether their music liked them or not, or whether they had drunk too much wine or no, I cannot tell. But our pots flew against the walls, and then they drew their swords, and went into the street and fought. And some took one part, and some took another. But for the space of half an hour, there was such a bloody fray as parted, and none could part them until such time as the mayor and sheriff were sent for. And then at last, with much ado, they took them. And so the young prince was carried to the counter, and then about 1 hour after, there came a messenger from the court in all haste from the king, for my lord mayor and the sheriff, but for what cause I know not.
Yes, news indeed, Robert.
Marry, neighbour, this news is strange indeed. I think it best, neighbour, to rid our hands of this fellow first.
Why? What mean you to do with me?
We mean to carry you to the prison, and there to remain till sessions day.
Then, I pray you, let me go to prison where my master is.
Nay, thou must go to the country prison, to Newgate. Therefore, come away.
I prithee, be good to me, honest fellow.
Oh, marry will I. I'll be very charitable to thee, for I will never leave thee till I see thee on the gallows.
And please, your majesty, here is my Lord Mayor and the Sheriff of London to speak with your majesty.
Admit them to our presence. Now, my good Lord Mayor of London, the cause of my sending for you at this time is to tell you of a matter which I have learned of my council. Herein I understand that you have committed my son to prison without our leave and license. What, although he be a rude youth and likely to give occasion, yet you might have considered that he is a prince and my son, and not to be hauled to prison by every subject.
May it please your majesty to give us leave to tell our tale.
Or else, God forbid, otherwise you might think me an unequal judge, having more affection to my son than any rightful judgment.
Then I do not doubt, but we shall rather deserve commendation at your majesty's hand than any anger.
Go to, say on.
Then, if it please your majesty, this night, betwixt 2 and 3 of the clock in the morning, my lord, the young prince, with a very disordered company, came to the old tavern in Eastcheap. And whether it was that their music liked them not, or whether they were overcome with wine, I know not. But they drew their swords, and into the street they went. And some took my lord the young prince's part, and some took the other. But twixt them there was such a bloody fray for the space of half an hour, that neither watchman nor any other could stay them, till my brother the Sheriff of London and I were sent for. And at last, with much ado, we stayed them. But it was long first, which was a great disquieting to all your loving subjects thereabout. And then, my good lord, we knew not whether your grace had sent them to try us, whether we would do justice, or whether it was of their own voluntary will or not. We cannot tell. And therefore, in such a case, we knew not what to do, but for our own safeguard, we sent him to ward, where he wanteth nothing that is fit for his grace and your majesty's son. And thus, most humbly beseeching your majesty to think of our answer.
Stand aside until we have further deliberated on your answer. Ah, Harry, now thrice accursed Harry, that hath gotten a son which with grief will end his father's days. O my son, a prince thou art. Ay, a prince indeed, and to deserve imprisonment. And well have they done, like faithful subjects. Discharge them and let them go.
Beseech your grace, be good to my lord the young prince.
Nay, 'tis no matter, let him alone.
Perchance the mayor and the sheriff have been too precise in this matter.
No, they have done like faithful subjects. I will go myself to discharge them and let them go.
Jailer, bring the prisoner to the bar.
Hear you, my lord. I pray you bring the bar to the prisoner.
Hold thy hand up at the bar.
Here it is, my lord.
Clerk of the office, read his indictment.
What is thy name?
My name was known before I came here, and shall be when I am gone, I warrant you.
Aye, I think so, but we will know it better before you go.
Soons, and you do but send to the next prison. We are sure to know his name, for this is not the first prison he hath been in, I'll warrant you.
What is your name?
What need you to ask, and have it in writing?
Is not thy name Cuthbert Cutter?
What the devil need you ask? I know it so well.
Why then, Cuthbert Cutter, I indict thee by name of Cuthbert Cutter for robbing a poor carrier the 20th day of May last past, in the 14th year of the reign of our sovereign lord, King Henry IV, for setting upon a poor carrier upon Gad's Hill in Kent, and having beaten and wounded the said carrier, and taken his goods for him.
Oh, masters, stay there. No, Nate, let's never belie the man, for he hath not beaten and wounded me also, but he hath beaten and wounded my pack, and have taken the great rays of ginger that bouncing Bess with the jolly buttocks should have had, and that grieves me most.
Well, what sayest thou? Art thou guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty, my lord.
By whom wilt thou be tried?
By my lord the young prince, or by myself, whether you will.
Come away, my lads. Gog's wounds, ye villain, what makes you here? I must go about my business myself, and you must stand loitering here.
Why, my lord, they have bound me and will not let me go.
Have they bound me, villain? Why, how now, my lord?
I am glad to see your grace in good health.
Why, my lord, this is my man. 'Tis marvel you knew him not long before this, I tell you. He is a man of his hands.
Ay, Gog's wounds that I am, try me who dare.
Your grace will find small credit by acknowledging him to be your man.
Why, my lord, what has he done?
And please your majesty, he hath robbed a poor carrier.
Hear you, sir, marry, it was one Derick, Goodman Hobling's man of Kent.
What, was't you, button breech? Of my word, my lord, he did it but in jest.
Oh, hear you, sir, is it your man's quality to rob folks in jest? In faith, he shall be hanged in earnest.
Well, my lord, what do you mean to do with my man?
And please your grace, the law must pass on him according to justice, then he must be executed.
Why then belike you mean to hang my man?
I am sorry that it falls out so.
Why, my lord, I pray ye. Who am I?
And please your grace, you are my lord the young prince, our king that shall be, after the decease of our sovereign lord, King Henry IV, whom God grant long to reign.
You say true, my lord. And you will hang my man?
And like your grace, I must needs do justice.
Tell me, my lord, shall I have my man?
I cannot, my lord.
But will you let him go?
I am sorry that his case is so ill.
Case me no casings. Shall I have my man?
I cannot, nor I may not, my lord.
Nay, and I shall not say, and then I am answered.
No?
No? Then I will have him.
Oh! Gog's wounds, my lord. Shall I cut off his head?
No, I charge you, draw not your swords, but get you hence. Provide a noise of musicians. Away, begone!
Well, my lord, I am content to take it at your hands.
Nay, and you be not, you shall have more.
Why, I pray you, my lord, who am I?
You? Who knows not you? Why, man, you are the Lord Chief Justice of England.
Your grace has said truth. Therefore, in striking me in this place, you greatly abuse me, and not me only, but also your father, whose lively person here in this place I do represent. And therefore, to teach you what prerogatives mean, I commit you to the fleet until we have spoken with your father.
Why then, belike you mean to send me to the fleet?
Aye, indeed, and therefore carry him away. Jailer, carry the prisoner to Newgate again until the next sizes.
At your commandment, my lord, it shall be done.
Zounds, masters, here's a do when princes must go to prison. Why, John, didst ever see the like?
Oh, Derick, trust me, I never saw the like.
Why, John, thou mayst see what princes be in collar. Oh, a judge, a box on the ear. Oh, I tell thee, John, oh, John, I would not have done it for 20 shillings.
No, nor I. There had been no way but one with us. We should have been hanged.
Oh, faith, John, I'll tell thee what. Thou shalt be my Lord Chief Justice, and thou shalt sit in the chair, and I'll be the young prince, and hit thee a box on the ear, and then thou shalt say, "To teach you what prerogatives mean, I commit you to the fleet."
Come on, I'll be your judge, but thou shalt not hit me hard.
No.
What hath he done?
Marry, he hath robbed Derick.
Why then, I cannot let him go.
I must needs have my man.
You shall not have him.
shall I not have my man? Say no, and you dare. How say you, shall I not have my man?
No, marry, shall you not?
Shall I not, John?
No, Derick.
Why, then, take you that till more come. Ooh, ooh, soon shall I not have him?
Well, I am content to take this at your hand, but pray you, who am I?
Who art thou? Zoots, dost not know thyself?
No.
Now, away, simple fellow. Why, man, thou art John the Cobbler.
No, I am my Lord Chief Justice of England.
John, Mass, you say it's true, thou art indeed.
Why then, to teach you what prerogatives mean, I commit you to the fleet.
Well, I will go, but i' faith, you grey-beard knave, I'll course you. Oh, John, come out of thy chair. Why, what a clown wert thou to let me hit thee a box on the ear. And now thou seest they will not take me to the fleet. I think that thou art one of these Warren Day clouds.
But I marvel what will become of thee.
Faith, I'll be no more a carrier.
What wilt thou do then?
I'll dwell with thee and be a cobbler.
With me? Alas, I am not able to keep thee. Why, thou wilt eat me out of doors.
Oh, no, John, I am none of these great slouching fellows that devour these great pieces of beef and brews. Alas, a trifle serves me. A woodcock, a chicken, or a capon's leg, or any such little trifles serve me.
A capon? Why, man, I cannot get a capon once a year, except it be Christmas, at some other man's house. For we cobblers be glad of a dish of roots.
Roots? Why are you so good at rooting? Nay, cobbler, we'll have you ringed.
But Derick, though we be so poor, yet will we have in store a crab in the fire, with nut brown ale that is full stale, which will a man quail and lay in the mire.
Oh, bots on you and be. But for your ale, I'll dwell with you. Come, let's away as fast as we can.
Come away, sirs. Gog's wounds, Ned. Didst thou see what a box on the ear I took my Lord Chief Justice?
By Gog's blood, it did me good to see it. It made his teeth jar in his head.
Oh, how now, Sir John Oldcastle? What news with you?
I'm glad to see your grace at liberty. I was come, to visit you in prison.
Oh, to visit me? Didst thou not know that I am a princess? Why, 'tis enough for me to look into a prison, though I come not in myself. But here's such a ado nowadays. Here's prisoning, here's hanging, whipping, and the devil and all. But I tell you, sirs, when I am king, we shall have no such things. But, my lads, if the old king my father were dead, we would all be kings.
He's a good old man. God take him to his mercy, the sooner.
But, Ned, so soon as I am king, the first thing I will do shall be to put my Lord Chief Justice out of office, and thou shalt be my Lord Chief Justice of England.
Shall I be Lord Chief Justice? By Gog's wounds, I'll be the bravest Lord Chief Justice that ever was in England.
Then, Ned, I'll turn all these prisons into fence schools, and I will endue thee with them, with lands to maintain them withal. Then I will have a bout with my Lord Chief Justice. Thou shalt hang no one but pickpursers and horse stealers, and such base-minded villains. But that fellow that will stand by the highway side courageously with his sword and buckler and take a purse, that fellow give him commendations. Besides that, send him to me, and I will give him an annual pension out of my exchequer to maintain him all the days of his life.
Nobly spoken, Harry. We shall never have a merry world till the old king be dead.
But whither are ye going now?
To the court. For I hear say my father lies very sick.
But I doubt he will not die.
Yet will I go thither, for the breath shall be no sooner out of his mouth, but I will clap the crown on my head.
Will you go to the court with that cloak so full of needles?
Cloak, eyelet holes, needles, and all was of mine own devising, and therefore I will wear it.
I pray you, my lord, what may be the meaning thereof?
Why, man, 'tis a sign that I stand upon thorns till the crown be on my head.
Or that every needle might be a prick to their hearts that repine at your doings?
Thou say'st true, Jockey. But the some will say, the young prince will be a well-toward young man, and all this gear that I had is lief they would break my head with a pot, as to say any such thing. But we stand prating here too long. I must needs speak with my father, therefore come away.
What's so rapine keep you at the king's court gate?
Here's one that must speak with the king.
The king is very sick, and none must speak with him.
No, you rascal. Do you not know me?
You are my lord, the young prince.
Then go and tell my father that I must and will speak with him.
Shall I cut off his head?
No, no. Though I would help you in other places, yet I have nothing to do here. What you are in my father's court?
I will write him in my tables, for so soon as I am made Lord Chief Justice, I will put him out of his office.
Gog's wound, sir, the king comes. Let's all stand aside.
And is it true, my lord, that my son is already sent to the fleet? Now truly that man is more fitter to rule the realm than I, for by no means could I rule my son, and he by one word hath caused him to be ruled. Oh, my son, no sooner out of one prison but into another. I had thought once, whiles I had lived, to have seen this noble realm of England flourish by thee, my son. But now I see it goes to ruin and decay.
And please your grace, here is my lord your son, that cometh to speak with you. He saith he must and will speak with you.
Who? My son Harry?
And please your majesty.
I know wherefore he cometh, but look that none come with him.
A very disordered company, and such as make very ill rule in your majesty's house.
Well, let him come, but look that none come with him.
And please your grace, my lord the king sends for you.
Come away, sirs, let's go all together.
And please your grace, none must go with you.
Why, I must needs have them with me, otherwise I can do my father no countenance, therefore come away.
The king your father commands there should none come.
Well, sirs, then be gone, and provide me 3 noise of musicians.
Come, my son, come on, a God's name, I know wherefore thy coming is. Oh, my son, what cause hath ever been that thou shouldst forsake me, follow this vile and reprobate company which abuseth youth so manifestly? O my son, thou knowest these doings will end thy father's days. So, my son, thou fearest not to approach the presence of thy sick father in that disguised sort. I tell thee, my son, that there is never a needle in thy cloak but is a prick to my heart, and never an eyelet hole but there is a hole to my soul. Wherefore thou bringest that dagger in thy hand, I know not, but by conjecture.
My conscience accuseth me, most sovereign lord and well-beloved father, to answer the first to the last point. That is, where is you conjecture that this hand and this dagger shall be armed against your life? No, my beloved father, far be the thoughts of your son. Son, said I, an unworthy son for such a good father, but far be the thoughts of any such pretended mischief, and I must humbly render it to your majesty's hand. Then live my lord and sovereign forever. And with your dagger arm show like vengeance upon the body of that, your son I was about to say and dare not. Woe is me, therefore, that your wild slave. It is not the crown that I come for, sweet father, because I am unworthy. And Those wild and reprobate company I abandon and utterly abolish their company forever. Pardon, sweet father? Pardon. The least thing and most desired. And this ruffianly cloak, I here tear from my back and sacrifice it to the devil, which is master of all mischief. Pardon me, sweet father? Pardon me? Good my lord of Exeter, speak for me. Pardon me? Oh, pardon, good father. Not a word. You will not speak one word. Oh, Harry, now thrice unhappy Harry, but what shall I do? You'll go take me into some solitary place and there lament my sinful life. When I have done, I will lay me down and die.
Call him again! Call my son again!
And doth my father call me again? Now, Harry, happy be the time that thy father calleth thee again.
Stand up, my son. Do not think that do not thank thy father, but at the request of thee, my son, I will pardon thee. God bless thee, and make thee his servant.
Thanks, my good lord. And no doubt but this day, even this day, I am born new again.
Come, my son and lords, and take me by the hands.
Muted. Muted.
Oh, thou art a stinking whore, and a horse and stinking whore. Dost thou think I'll take it in thy hands?
Derick! Dee, here's ta, dee. Never while thou livest use that. Why, what will my neighbours say, and thou go away so?
She is an arrant whore, and I'll have the law on you, John.
Why, what has she done?
Marry, mark thou, John, I will prove it that I will.
What wilt thou prove?
That she called me into dinner, John. Mark the tale well, John. And when I was set, she brought me a dish of roots and a piece of barrel butter with therein. And she is a very knave, and thou art a drab if thou take her part.
Here's the Derick. Is this the matter? Nay, and it be no worse. We will go home again, and all shall be amended.
Oh, John, here is the John. Is all well?
Aye, all is well.
Then I'll go home before and break all the glass windows.
Now, my lords.
Come, my lords, I see it boots not me to take it any physic.
Oh, bugger. Come, my lords. I see it boots not me to take any physic, for all the physicians in the world cannot cure me, no, not one. But good my lords, remember my last will and testament concerning my son, for truly, my lords, I do not think but he will prove as valiant and victorious a king as ever reigned in England.
Let heaven and earth be witness between us, if we accomplish not thy will to the uttermost.
I give you the most unfeigned thanks. Good my lords, draw the curtain and depart my chamber a while, and cause some music to rock me asleep.
Oh, Harry, thrice unhappy that thou hast neglect so long from visiting of thy sick father. I will go. Nay, but why do I not go to the chamber of my sick father to comfort the melancholy soul of his body? His soul, said I. Here is his body indeed, but his soul is whereas it needs no body. Oh, no. Thrice accursed Harry. I offended thy father so much, and could not I crave pardon for all? Oh, my dying father. Cursed be the day wherein I was born, and accursed be the hour wherein I was begotten. But what shall I do? If weeping tears, which come too late, may suffice the negligence neglected too soon, I will weep day and night until the fountain be dry with weeping.
Come easily, my lord, for waking.
Now, my lords,
How doth your grace feel yourself?
somewhat better after my sleep, but, good lords, take off my crown, remove my chair a little back, and set me right.
And please your grace, the crown is taken away.
The crown taken away! Good my lord of Oxford, go see who hath done this deed. No doubt 'tis some vile traitor that hath done it to deprive my son. They that would do it now would seek to scrape and scrawl for it after my death.
Here and please your graces, my lord, the young prince with the crown.
Why, how now, my son? I had thought the last time I had you in schooling I'd given you a lesson for all. Do you now begin again? Why, tell me, my son, dost thou think the time so long that thou wouldst have it before the breath be out of my mouth?
Most sovereign lord and well-beloved father, I came into your chamber to comfort the melancholy soul of your body, and finding you at that time past all recovery and dead to my thinking, God is my witness. And what should I do but with weeping tears lament the death of you, my father? And after that, seeing the crown, I took it. And tell me, my father, who might better take it than I after your death? But seeing you live, I most humbly render it into your majesty's hands, and the happiest man alive that my father live, and live my lord and father forever.
Stand up, my son. Thy answer hath sounded well in my ears, for I must needs confess that I was in a very sound sleep, and altogether unmindful of thy coming. But come near, my son. Let me put thee in possession whilst I live, that none deprive thee of it after my death.
Well, I may take it at your majesty's hands, but it shall never touch my head so long as my father lives.
God give thee joy, my son. God bless thee, and make thee his servant. Send thee a prosperous reign, for God knows, my son, how hardly I came by it, and how hardly I have maintained it.
Howsoever you came by it, I know not, but now I have it from you, and from you I will keep it. And he that seeks to take the crown from my head, let him look that his armour be thicker than mine, or I will pierce him to the heart, a bit harder than brass or bullion.
Nobly spoken, like a king. Now, trust me, my lords, I fear not, but my son will be as warlike and victorious a prince as ever reigned in England.
His former life shows no less.
Well, lords, I know not whether it be for sleep or drawing near of drowsy summer of death, but I'm very much given to sleep. Therefore, good my lords, and my son, draw the curtains, depart my chamber, cause some music to rock me asleep.
Ah, God, I am now much like to a bird which hath escaped out of the cage. For so soon as my Lord Chief Justice heard that the old king was dead, he was glad to let me go, for fear of my lord the young prince. But here comes some of his companions. I will see if I can get anything of them. For old acquaintance.
God's wounds, the king is dead.
Dead? Cog's blood. We shall all be kings.
Gog wounds! I shall be Lord Chief Justice of England.
Why, how are you broken out of prison?
Gog's wounds! How the villain stinks!
Why, what will become of thee now? Fire upon him, how the rascal stinks.
Marry, I will go and serve my master again.
Gog's blood, dost thou think you will have any such scabbard knave as thou? What man is a king now?
Hold thee, here's a couple of angels for thee. And get thee gone, for the king will not be long before he come this way, and hereafter I will tell the king of thee.
Oh, how it did me good to see the king when he was crowned. He thought his seat was like the figure of heaven, and his person like unto a god.
But who would have thought that the king would have changed his countenance so?
Did you not see with what grace he sent his embassage into France to tell the French king that Harry of England hath sent for the crown, and Harry of England will have it?
But 'twas but a little to make the people believe that he was sorry for his father's death.
Gog's wounds, the king comes, let's all stand aside.
How do you do, my lord?
Now on, Harry. Tut, my lord, put away those dumps. You are a king, and all the realm is yours. What, Matt, do you not remember the old sayings? You know I must be Lord Chief Justice of England. Trust me, my lord, methinks you are very much changed. And 'tis but with a little sorrowing to make folks believe the death of your father grieves you, and 'tis nothing so.
I prithee, Ned, mend thy manners, and be more modester in thy terms. For my unfeigned grief is not to be ruled by thy flattering and dissembling talk. Thou sayest I am changed, so I am indeed, and so must thou be, and that quickly, or else I must cause thee to be changed.
Cog's wounds, how like you this? Zounds, 'tis not so sweet as music.
I trust we have not offended your great Snoway.
Oh, Tom, your former life grieves me and makes me to abandon and abolish your company forever, and therefore not, upon pain of death, to approach my presence by 10 miles space. Then, if I hear well of you, it may be I will do somewhat for you. Otherwise, look for no more favour at my hands than at any other man's, and therefore be gone. We have other matters to talk on. Now, my good Lord Archbishop of Canterbury, what say you to our embassage into France?
Your right to the French crown of France came by your great-grandmother Isabel, wife to King Edward III and a sister to Charles, the French king. Now, if the French king deny it, as likely enough he will, then must you take your sword in hand and conquer the right. Let the usurped Frenchman know, although your predecessors have let it pass, you will not, for your countrymen are willing with purse and men to aid you. Then, my good lord, as it hath been always known that Scotland hath been in league with France by a sort of pensions which yearly come from thence, I think it therefore best to conquer Scotland, and then I think you may go more easily into France. And this is all I can say, my good lord.
I thank you, my good Lord Archbishop of Canterbury. What say you, my good Lord of Oxford?
And please your majesty, I agree to my Lord Archbishop saying in this, he that will Scotland win must first with France begin, according to the old saying. Therefore, my good lord, I think it best first to invade France. For in conquering Scotland you conquer but one, and conquer France and conquer both.
And please your majesty, my lord ambassador is come out of France.
Now trust me, my lord, he was the last man that we talked of. I am glad that he has come to resolve us of our answer. Commit him to our presence.
God save the life of my sovereign the king.
Now, my good lord the Duke of York, what news from our brother the French king?
And please your majesty, I delivered him my embassage, whereof I took some deliberation. But for the answer he hath sent, my lord ambassador of Bourges, the Duke of Burgundy, Monsieur Le Cole, with 250 horsemen to bring the embassage.
Commit my lord Archbishop of Bourges into our presence. Now, my lord Archbishop of Bourges, we do learn by our lord ambassador that you have our message to do from our brother the French king. Here, my good lord, According to our accustomed order, we give you free liberty and license to speak.
God save the mighty King of England. My lord and master, the most Christian King, Charles VII, the great and mighty King of France, as a most noble and Christian king, not minding to shed innocent blood, is rather content to yield somewhat to your unreasonable demands, that if 50,000 crowns a year, with his daughter the said Lady Katherine, in marriage, and some crowns which he may well spare, not hurting of his kingdom, he is content to yield so far to your unreasonable desire.
Why then? Belike your lord and master thinks to puff me up with 50,000 crowns a year. No. Tell thy lord and master that all the crowns in France shall not serve me except the crown and kingdom itself. And, perchance hereafter, I will have his daughter.
And it please your majesty, my lord Prince Dauphin greets you well with this present.
Oh, what a gilded tun! I pray you, my lord of York, look what is in it.
And it please your grace, here's a carpet and a ton of tennis balls.
A ton of tennis balls! I pray you, my good Lord Archbishop, what might be the meaning thereof be?
And it please you, my lord, a messenger you know ought to keep close his message, and specially an ambassador.
But I know that you may declare your message to a king. The law of arms allows no less.
My lord, hearing of your wildness before your father's death, sent you this, my good lord, meaning that you are more fitter for a tennis court than a field, and more fitter for a carpet than the camp.
Oh, my Lord Prince Dolphin is very pleasant with me. But tell him that instead of balls of leather, we will toss him balls of brass and iron, yea, such balls as were never tossed in France. The proudest tennis court shall rue it. I and thou, Prince of Bourges, shall rue it. Therefore get thee hence, and tell him thy message quickly, lest I be there before thee. Away, priest, be gone.
I beseech your grace to deliver me safe conduct under your broad seal manual.
Priest of Bourges, know that the hand and seal of a king and his word is all one. And instead of my hand and seal, I will bring him my hand and sword. And tell thy lord and master that I, Harry of England, said it, and I, Harry of England, will perform it. My lord of York, deliver him our safe conduct under our broad seal manual. Now, my lord, to arms. To arms! For I vow by heaven and earth that the proudest Frenchman in all France shall rue the time that ever these tennis balls were sent into England. My lord, I will that there be provided a great navy of ships with all speed at Southampton, for there I mean to ship my men, for I would be there before him if it were possible. Therefore come. Oh, but stay. I had almost forgot the chiefest thing of all with chafing with this French ambassador. Call in my Chief Justice of England.
Here is the king, my lord.
God preserve your majesty.
Why, how now, my lord? What is the matter?
I would it were unknown to your majesty.
Why, what ails you?
Your majesty knoweth my grief well.
Oh, my lord. You remember you sent me to the fleet, did you not?
I trust your grace have forgotten that?
Aye, truly, my lord. And for revengement, I have chosen you to be my protector over my realm, until it shall please God to give me speedy return out of France.
And it please your majesty, I am far unworthy of so high a dignity.
My lord, you are not unworthy because I think you worthy. For you that would not spare me, I think you will not spare another. It must needs be so, and therefore come. Let us be gone, and get our men in a readiness.
Come, there's no remedy. Thou must needs serve the king.
Good master captain, let me go. I'm not able to go so far.
I pray you, good Master Captain, be good to my husband.
Why, I am sure he's not too good to serve the king.
Alas, no, but a great deal too bad. Therefore, I pray you, let me go.
No, no, thou shalt go.
Oh, sir, I have a great many shoes at home to cobble.
I pray you, let him go home again.
Tush, I care not, thou shalt go.
Oh, wife, and you have been a loving wife to me. This had not been, for I have said many times I would go away, and now I must go against my will.
Oh, did he? How now, ho, Bacillus manners. Oh, for an old codpiece. Master Captain, shall we away? Zoons, how now, John, what? A crying? What make you a my dame there? I marvel whose head you will throw the stools out now that we are gone.
He tell you, come, ye cloghead. What do you of my pot lid? Hear you, will you have it wrapped about your pate?
Oh, good dame! Oh, I had my dagger. I would worry you all to pieces, that I would.
Would you so? I'll try that!
Master Captain, will you suffer her? Go to, dame. I will go back as far as I can, but and you come again, I'll clap the law on your back, that's flat. I'll tell you, Master Captain, what you shall do. Press her for a soldier, I warrant you. She will do as much good as her father and I do, too. Oh, Zoot, who comes here yonder?
How now, good fellow, dost thou want to master?
Aye, truly, sir.
Hold thee then. I press thee for a soldier to serve the king in France.
Oh, now, gads. What dost thou know us? What dost thou know us? Thinkst?
I knew thee long ago.
Oh, hear you, Master Captain.
What sayest thou?
I pray you, let me go home again.
Why? What wouldst thou do at home?
Well, Mary, I have brought 2 shirts with me, and I would carry one of them home again, for I'm sure he'll steal it from me. He is such a filching fellow.
I warrant thee he will not steal it from thee. Come, let's away.
Come, Master Captain, let's away. Come, follow me.
Come, wife, let's part lovingly.
Farewell, good husband.
Oh, fie, what a kissing and crying is here. Zoons, do you think he will never come again? Oh, why, John, come away. Come away. Dost think that we are so base-minded to die among Frenchmen? Zoons, we know not whether they will lay us in their church or no. Come, Master Captain, let's away.
I cannot stay no longer, therefore come away.
Now, my Lord High Constable, what say you to our embassage into England?
Please, your Majesty, I can say nothing until my Lord Ambassadors become home. But yet methinks your Grace hath done well to get your men in so good a readiness for fear of the worst.
Aye, my lord, we have some in a readiness, but if the King of England make against us, we must have thrice so many more.
Bah, Monseigneur, although the King of England be young and wild-headed, yet never think he will be so unwise to make battle against the Grand Roi de France.
Oh, my son, although the King of England be young and wild-headed, yet never think but he is ruled by his wise counselors.
God save the life of my sovereign lord, the king.
Now, good Lord Archbishop of Bourges, what news from our brother, the English king?
And please your majesty, he is so far from your expectation that nothing will serve him but the crown and the kingdom itself. Besides, he bade me haste quickly, lest he be there before me, and so far as I hear, hath kept promise. For they say he is already landed at Kidcocks in Normandy, upon the river Seine, and laid his siege to the garrison town of Harfleur.
You've made great haste in the meantime, have you not?
I pray you, my lord, how did the King of England?
Truly, my lord, in very ill part. For these your balls of leather, he will toss you balls of brass and iron. Trust me, my lord, I was very afraid of him. He's such a haughty and high-minded prince, and as fierce as a lion.
Tush, we will make him as tame as a lamb, I warrant you.
I thank the mighty King of France.
Now, messenger, what news?
And it please your majesty, I come from the poor distressed town of Harfleur, which is so beset on every side. If your majesty do not send present aid, the town will be yielded to the English king.
Come, my lords, come. Shall we stand still till our country be spoiled under our noses? My lords, let the Normans, Brabants, Picardis, and Danes be sent for with all speed. And you, my Lord High Constable, I make general over my whole army. Monsieur Lecole, Master of the Bows, Signor Devance, and the rest, at your appointment.
I trust your majesty will bestow some part of the battle on me. I hope not to present any otherwise than well.
I tell thee, my son, although I should get the victory and thou lose thy life, I should think myself quite conquered, and the Englishman to have the victory.
Ah, Monseigneur et mon père, I would have the petty king of England to know that I dare encounter him in any ground of the world.
I know well, my son, but at this time I will have it thus. Therefore, come away.
Come, my lords of England. No doubt this good luck of winning this town is a sign of an honourable victory to come. But good my lord, go and speak to the captains with all speed to urge the host of the Frenchmen, and by that means we may the better know how to appoint the battle.
And it please your majesty, there are many of your men sick and diseased, and many of them die for want of victuals.
And why did you not tell me of it before? If we cannot have it for money, we will have it by dint of sword. The law of arms allow no less.
I beseech your grace to grant me a boon.
What is that, my good lord?
That your grace would give me the avant-garde in the battle.
Trust me, my lord of Oxford, I cannot, for I have already given it to my uncle, the Duke of York. Yet I thank you for your goodwill. Oh, no. What is that?
I think it be some herald of arms.
King of England, my Lord High Constable and others of the noble men of France send me to defy thee as open enemy to God, our country, and us. And hereupon they presently bid thee battle.
Herald, tell them that I defy them, as open enemies to God, my country, and me, and as wrongful usurpers of my right. And whereas thou sayest they presently bid me battle, tell them that I think they know how to please me. But I pray thee, what place hath my Lord Prince Dolphin here in battle?
And it please your grace, my lord the king his father will not let him come into the field.
Ha! Oh, why? Then he doth me a great injury. I thought that he and I should have played at tennis together. Therefore I have brought tennis balls for him, but other manner of ones than he sent me. And Herald, tell my Lord Prince Dolphin that I have injured my hands with other kinds of weapons than tennis balls ere this time of day, and that he shall find it ere it be long. And so adieu, my friend, and tell my lord that I am ready when he will. Come, my lords, I care not. And I go to our captains, and I'll see the numbers of the French army myself. Strike up the drum.
Come away, Jack Drummer. Come away all. And me will tell you what me will do. Me will throw one chance on the dice. Who shall have the King of England and his lords?
Come away, Jacques Drummer, and throw your chance and lay down your drums.
Oh, the brave apparel that the Englishman's hay broth over, I will tell you what we have done. We have provided 100 trunks, and all to put the fine apparel of the Englishman's in.
What do thou mean by trunks?
A jest, man, 100 chests.
Ah, oui. Me will tell you what. Me have put 5 children out of my house, and all too little to put the fine apparel of the Englishman's in.
Oh, the brave apparel that we shall have anon. But come, you shall see what me will throw at the king's drummer and fife. Ha! We have no good luck. Through you.
How now? What make you here so far from the camp?
Yeah?
Shall we tell our captain what we have done here?
Ah, oui.
I will tell you what we have done. We have been throwing our chance on the dice, but none can win the king.
I think so. Why, he is left behind for me. And I have set 3 or 4 chair makers at work to make a new disguised chair, to set that womanly King of England in that all the people may laugh and scorn him.
Oh, brave captain!
I am glad, and yet with a kind of pitié to see the poor king. Why, whoever saw a more flourishing army in France in one day than here is? Are not all the peers of France? Are not here the Normans with their fiery handguns and the flaunching cuttle-axes? Are not here the barbarians with their barbed horses and their launching spears? Are not here the Picards with their crossbows and the piercing darts? Are not here the Hendes with their cutting glaives and sharp carbuncles? Are not here the lance knights of Burgundy? And on the other side, poor English scabs. Why, take an Englishman out of his warm bed and his stale drink but 1 month, and alas, what will become of him? But give the Frenchman a radish root, and he will live with it and make the salad all the days of his life.
Oh, the brave apparel that we shall have of the Englishman's.
Come, my lords and fellows of arms, what company is there of the Frenchmen?
And it please your majesty, our captains have numbered them, and so near as they can judge, they are about 300,000 horsemen and 40,000 footmen.
They 300,000, and we but 2,000. They 300,000 footmen, and we 12,000. They are 100,000, and we 40,000. 10 to 1. My lords and loving countrymen, though we be few and they many, fear not. Your quarrel is good, and God will defend you. Pluck up your hearts. For this day we shall either have a valiant victory or an honourable death. Now, my lords, I will that my uncle, the Duke of York, have the avant-guard in the battle. The Earl of Derby, the Earl of Oxford, the Earl of Kent, the Earl of Nottingham, the Earl of Huntingdon, I will have beside the army, that they may come fresh upon them. And I myself, with the Duke of Bedford, the Duke of Clarence, and the Duke of Gloucester, will be in the midst of the battle. Furthermore, I will that my Lord of Willoughby and the Earl of Northumberland, with their troops of horsemen, be continually running like wings on both sides of the army, my Lord of Northumberland on the left wing. Then I will that every archer provide him a stake of a tree, and sharp it at both ends, and at the first encounter of the horsemen to pitch their stakes down into the ground before them, that they may gore themselves upon them, and then to recoil back and shoot wholly altogether, and so discomfort them.
And it please your majesty, I will take that in charge, if your grace be therewith content.
With all my heart, my good Lord of Oxford, and go and provide quickly.
I thank your highness.
Well, my lords, our battles are ordained, and the French making of bonfires and at their banquets. But let them look, for I mean to set upon them. Soft, here comes some other French message.
King of England, my Lord High Constable and others of my lords, considering the poor estate of thee and thy poor countrymen, sends me to know what thou wilt give for thy ransom. Perhaps thou mayst agree better cheap now than when thou art conquered.
Why, then belike your high constable sends to know what I will give for my ransom. Now trust me, Herald, not so much as a ton of tennis balls. No, not so much as one poor tennis ball. Rather shall my body lie dead in the field to feed crows than ever England shall pay 1 penny ransom for my body.
A kingly resolution.
No, Herald, 'tis a kingly resolution, and the resolution of a king. Here, take this for thy pains. But stay, my lords, what time is it?
Prime, my lord.
Then it is it good time, no doubt, for all England prayeth for us. What, my lords, methinks you look cheerfully upon me. Why then, with one voice, and like true English hearts, with me throw up your caps, and for England cry, St. George, and God and St. George help us. Strike, drummer.
St. George!
Saint-Denis! 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 Oh! Saint-Denis! Saint-Denis!
Come, my lords, come. By this our swords are almost drunk with French blood. But my lords, which of you can tell me how many of our army be slain in the battle?
And it please your majesty, these are of the French army slain, above 10,000, 2,600 whereof are princes and nobles bearing banners. Besides, all the nobility of France are taken prisoner. Of our majesty's army we are slain none but the good Duke of York, and not above 5 or 6, and 20 common soldiers.
For the good Duke of York, my uncle, I am heartily sorry, and greatly lament his misfortune. Yet the honourable victory which the Lord hath given us doth make me much rejoice. Oh, but stay, here comes another French message.
God save the life of the most mighty conqueror, the Honourable King of England.
Now, Harold, methinks the world is changed with you now. What I am sure is a great disgrace for a herald to kneel to the King of England. What is thy message?
My lord and master, the conquered King of France, sends thee long health with hearty greeting.
Oh, Harold, his greetings are welcome, but I thank God for my health. Well, Harold, say on.
He hath sent me to desire your majesty to give him leave to go into the field to view his poor countrymen, that they may all be honourably buried.
Why, Harold, doth thy lord and master send me to bury the dead? Let him bury them a God's name. But I pray thee, Herald, where is my Lord High Constable, and those that would have had my ransom?
And please your majesty, he was slain in the battle.
Why, you may see, you will make yourselves sure before the victory be won. But Herald, what castle is this so near adjoining our camp?
And please your majesty, 'tis called the Castle of Ajakko.
Well then, my lords of England, for the more honour of our English men, I will that this be for ever called the Battle of Agincourt.
And please your majesty, I have a further message to deliver to your majesty.
What is that, Herald? Say on.
And please your majesty, my lord and master craves to parley with your majesty.
With a good will. So some of my nobles view the place for fear of treachery and treason.
Your grace needs not to doubt that.
Well, tell him then, I will come. Now, my lords, I will go into the field myself to view my countrymen and to have them honourably buried, for the French king shall never surpass me in courtesy, whilst I am Harry, King of England. Come on, my lords.
Now, John Cobbler, didst thou see how the king did behave himself?
But Robin, didst thou see what a policy the king had? To see how the Frenchmen were killed with the stakes of trees.
Aye, John, it was a brave policy.
What are you, my masters?
We the Englishmen.
We the Englishmen.
Are you Englishmen? Then change your language, for all kings' tents are set afire and all that speak English will be killed.
What shall we do, Robin? Faith, I'll shift, for I can speak broken French.
Oh, i' faith, so can I. Let's hear how thou canst speak.
Commandez-vous de duels, monsieur?
That is well. Come, let us aller.
Oh, good monsieur.
Allez, connard du Villico.
I will, sir. I will.
Allez, putain, vite, peasant.
I will, sir. What shall I give you?
Marie, thou shalt give me 1, 2, 3, 400 crowns.
Oh, nay, sir. I will give you more. I will give you as many crowns as will lie on your sword.
Wilt thou give me as many crowns as lie on my sword?
Yeah, you must lay down your sword, or else they will not lie on your sword. Thou villain, darest thou look up?
Monsieur, par compassion, monsieur, pardonnez-moi.
Oh, you villain, now you lie at my mercy. Dost thou remember, since thou lamest me in thy short L? Oh, villain, now I will strike off thy head. Oh, what, is he gone? Oh. Mass, I'm glad of it, for if he'd stayed, I was afraid he would have stirred again, and then I should have been split. But I will away to kill more Frenchmen.
Now, my good brother of France, my coming into this land was not to shed blood, but for the right of my country, which if you can deny, I am content peaceably to leave my siege and to depart out of your land.
What is it you demand, my loving brother of England?
My secretary hath it written. Read it.
Item, that immediately Henry of England be crowned King of France.
A very hard sentence, my good brother of England.
No more but right, my good brother of France.
Well, read on.
Item, that after the death of the said Henry, the crown remain to him and his heirs forever.
Why, then you do not only mean to dispossess me, but also my son.
Why, my good brother of France, you have had it long enough. And as for the Prince Dolphin, his skills not though he sit beside the saddle. Thus have I set it down, and thus it shall be.
You are very peremptory, my good brother of England.
And you as perverse, my good brother of France.
Then belike all that I have here is yours.
Aye, even as far as the kingdom of France reaches.
Aye, for by this hot beginning we shall scarce bring it to a calm ending.
It is as you please. Here is my resolution.
Well, my brother of England, if you will give me a copy, we will meet you again tomorrow.
With a good will, my good brother of France. Secretary, deliver him a copy. My lords of England, go before, and I will follow you. Oh, Harry, thrice unhappy Harry, hast thou now conquered the French king, and begins a fresh supply with his daughter? What face canst thou seek to gain her love, which hath sought to win her father's crown? Her father's crown, said I. No, it is mine own. Aye, but I love her, and must crave her. Nay, I love her and I will have her. Oh, but here she comes. How now, fair Lady Katherine of France? What news?
And it please your majesty, My father sent me to know if you will debate of these unreasonable demands which you require.
Now, trust me, Kate. I commend thy father's wit greatly in this, for none in the world could sooner have made me debate, if it were possible. But tell me, sweet Kate, canst thou tell how to love?
I cannot hate, my good lord. Therefore, but far unfit were it for me to love.
Shh, Kate. But tell me in plain terms, canst thou love the King of England? I cannot do as these countries do that spend half their time in wooing. Shh, wench, I am none such. But wilt thou go over to England?
I would to God that I had your majesty as fast as in love as you have my father in wars. I would not vouchsafe to so much as one look until you had related all these unreasonable demands.
Shh, Kate, I know thou wouldst not use me so hardly. But tell me, canst thou love the King of England?
How should I love him that hath dealt so hardly with my father?
But I'll deal as easily with thee as thou heart can imagine. What tongue can require? How sayest thou? What will it be?
If I were of my own direction, I could give you the answer. But seeing I stand at my father's direction, I must first know his will.
But shall I have thy good will in the mean season?
Whereas I could put your grace in no assurance, I would be loath to put you in my despair.
Now, before God, it is a sweet wench.
I think myself the happiest in the world, that is beloved of the mighty King of England.
Well, Kate, are you at host with me? Sweet Kate, tell thy father from me that none in the world could sooner have persuaded me to, if than thou. And so, tell thy father from me.
God keep your majesty in good health.
Farewell, sweet Kate. Oh, in faith, it is a sweet wench. But if I knew I could not have her father's goodwill, I would so rouse the towers over his ears that I would make him be glad to bring her me upon his hands and knees.
How now? Zoons, it did give me good to see how I did triumph over the Frenchman.
Whoa, Derick! How dost thou?
What, John? Oh, commandez-vous? Alive yet?
I promise thee, Derick, I escaped hardly, for I was within half a mile when one was killed.
Were you so?
Aye, trust me, I had like been slain.
But once killed, why, it is nothing. Oh, I was 4 or 5 times slain.
4 or 5 times slain? Why, how couldst thou have been alive now?
Oh, John, never say so, for I was called the bloody soldier amongst them all.
Why, what didst thou?
Well, I will tell thee, John. Every day when I went into the field, I would take a straw and thrust it into my nose and make my nose bleed. And then I would go into the field, and when the captain saw me, he would say, "Peace, a bloody soldier," and bid me stand aside, whereof I was glad. Oh, but mark the chance, John. I went and stood behind a tree, but mark then, John. I thought I'd been safe, but on a sudden, there steps to me a lusty, tall Frenchman. Now he drew, and I drew. Now I lay here, and he lay there. Now I set this leg before, and then turned this backward, and skipped quite over a hedge, and he saw me no more there that day. Was not this well done, John?
Mass Derick, thou'st a witty head.
Ay, John, thou mayest see, if thou hadst taken my counsel. But what hast thou there? I think thou hast been robbing the Frenchman.
Faith, Derick, I've got some apparel to carry home to my wife.
And I have got some shoes. For I tell thee what I did. When they were dead, I would take off all their shoes.
Aye, but Derick, how shall we get home?
Nay, soons, and they take thee, they will hang thee. Oh, John, never do so, for if it be thy fortune to be hanged in thine own language, whatsoever thou dost.
Why, Derick, the wars is done. We may go home now.
Aye, but you may not go before you ask the king leave. But I know a way to go home and ask the king no leave.
How's that, Derick?
Oh, well, why, John? Thou knowest the Duke of York's funeral must be carried into England, dost thou not?
Aye, that I do.
Why, then thou knowest we'll go with it.
Aye, but Derick, how shall we do for to meet them?
Oh, Soons, if I do not shift to meet them, hang me. Sirrah, thou knowest that in every town there will be ringing and there will be cakes and drink. Now, I will go to the clerk and sexton and keep a talking and say, oh, this fellow rings well. And thou shalt go and take a piece of cake and then I'll ring. And thou shalt say, oh, this fellow keeps a good stint, and then I will go and drink to thee all the way. Yeah? But I marvel what thy dame will say when we come home, because we have not a French word to cast a dog by the way.
Why, what shall we do, Derick?
Why, John, I'll go before and call thy dame whore, and thou shalt come after and set the house on fire. We may do it, John, for I'll prove it, because we be soldiers.
Derick, help me carry my shoes and boots.
Now, my good brother of France, I hope by this time you have deliberated your answer.
I, my well-beloved brother of England, we have viewed it over with our learned council, but we cannot find that you should be crowned King of France.
What? Not King of France? Then nothing. I must be king. But my loving brother of France, I can hardly forget the late injuries offered me when I came last to parley. The Frenchmen had better have raked the bowels of their fathers' carcasses than to have fired my tents. And if I knew thy son, Prince Dolphin, for one, I would so rouse him as he were never so roused.
I dare swear for my son's innocency in this matter, but if this please you, that immediately you be proclaimed and crowned heir and regent of France, not king, because I myself was once crowned king.
Heir and regent of France. That is well, but that is not all that I must have.
The rest my secretary has in writing.
Item, that Henry, King of England, be crowned heir and regent of France during the life of King Charles, and after his death, the crown with all rights to remain to King Henry of England and to his heirs forever.
Well, my good brother of France, there is one thing I must needs desire.
What is that, my good brother of England?
That all your nobles must be sworn to be true to me.
Whereas they have not stuck with greater matters, I know they will not stick with such a trifle. Begin you, my Lord Duke of Burgundy.
Come, my Lord Burgundy, take your oath upon my sword.
I, Philip, Duke of Burgundy, swear to Henry, King of England, to be true to him and to become his league man, and that if I, Philip, hear of any foreign power coming to invade the said Henry or his heirs, then I, the said Philip, to send him word and aid him with all the power I can make, and therefore I take my oath.
Come, Prince Dolphin, you must swear too. Well, my brother of France, there is one thing more I must needs require of you.
Wherein is it that we may satisfy your majesty?
A trifle, my good brother of France. I mean to make your daughter Queen of England, if she be willing, and you therewith content. How sayest thou, Kate? Canst thou love the King of England?
How should I love thee, which is my father's enemy?
Stand not upon these points. 'Tis you must make us friends. I know, Kate, thou art not a little proud that I love thee. What, wench? The King of England?
Daughter, let nothing stand betwixt the King of England and thee. Agree to it.
I at best what he is willing, least when I would he will not. I rest at your majesty's command.
Ha! Welcome, sweet Kate. But my brother of France, what say you to it?
Oh, with all my heart, I like it. But when shall be your wedding day?
The first Sunday of the next month, God willing.
And thus the text ends. Rapturous applause from the invisible, non-existent audience. Well done, everyone. That was fun. I enjoyed that. Don't know if anyone watching it will enjoy it, but I enjoyed it, so who cares? It was, for me, it was really, really helpful to say dialogue I didn't really, even though I'd done some prep work, I was going, I really don't know what to do with that line. And it's only after you say it, you go, this context, you go, oh, that's how I should say it. I can make relevant notation. So yeah, how did people find it? We made good time, relatively few cock-ups. I pinged when I should have tooted. I picked up a sword, a line early, and and things. We had a queuing problem at one point.
Apologies to the people whose cues I stepped on and those I failed to pick up.
Same here.
There was a chunk of text missing in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was the soldiers playing dice because they said very similar things.
That was my fault. I came in early. I heard the cue. This play uses repetition a lot. I'm going to blame the author because we don't know who they are.
Just like in early
It was only about 4 lines.
Yeah.
I missed a couple of York's lines when I was going through and highlighting, and I didn't realize that I had a couple of lines as York back to back with the French soldier, so I was too late on that one. And I had my little French soldier jacket that I didn't have time to put on.
It's really nice, though.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old costumer never dies.
Yeah.
They
Dan.
just lose their threads.
Yeah, it helps you work out, since we were reading it straight through, well, not only with the time, but then who might be doubling and what might be those problems and having the way that we doubled it versus how they might have doubled it, given the time to change costumes, obviously, or to follow cues there. So
I love the way Dan substituted a bit of French here and there.
Yes, I liked that.
I thought that was great.
Those reading at home confused. Yeah, no, a bit of translation work occurring there.
Well, if I'd known you were going to do that, I would have done the king in French. I mean, I would have done the same sort of thing. I thought the royal family ought to sound vaguely similar, but since I had to start that scene, I couldn't know what you were going to do.
see, the Dauphin didn't really take English classes so well, so the king's accent was perfect, whereas the Dauphin, he's just flippant and he doesn't. Je m'en fous.
Yeah, he always gets a pass regardless of how good his his courses were, because he's son of the king. What do you expect?
I assumed the Herald would be bilingual.
Yes. So yeah, it flowed really, really well for me. I very much enjoyed it the second time. It was very useful figuring out, I say for me, business. I was only playing one part because I was sort of trying to make sure I vaguely got the tooting and the belling and the other bits and bobs going. I can see some logical doublings for Derick and things, but yeah. So we're approaching extra time, so I'll go around the room in a moment. Anyone got any thoughts before we go around the room? I saw a hand from Dan just leaping up there. Was that just a reflex?
I was comparing as I do the Q1 and Q2, the 1599 and 1617, and I think I noticed, or somebody had observed at some point, that it was the Queen's players who had played it earlier, but then later it was the King's men, and I wondered, because of the textual differences there, if they had modified it for the later company, or they just found more of the script or whatnot, because there's certainly a couple of speeches that show up there that we had in ours, and the go to battle speech, I can't remember a single line from it, but that speech is a lot longer in the later version there, and so just thought out there.
I mean, there are a few textual variations from when we last did it, as opposed to anything else. And there's a couple of lines that say that we will throw in a future date to see how it plays. But yes, we're now approaching extra time. We do have a little time to discuss thoughts and feelings, but so we'll just go around the room briefly and any thoughts for those who were here the first time round. Thoughts about what could be done with it further down the road. I say in many ways it's, for me, just to start the ball rolling, a certain rationalisation of some of the English parts in the first half. There seems to be an awful lot of random speaking people who don't quite function necessarily as individuals, who could be reduced. A certain eliding of one or two characters. I think we said that the first time around we looked at this, but I definitely felt that. But there's a real energy to those opening moments and all those things. But the characters sort of leaping out because we've had the opportunity to be more performative than we have been in the past, where it'd been much more textual, as it were. I want to look a little more at the history in the future. So I'll sort of alternate around the room. Helen, final thoughts?
There's a verbal tick in this play where a character will repeat the words that have just been said to him or her, which I found annoying, but I suppose it could work. The prince does it more than anybody else.
I noticed that.
Something is said and then he immediately says it again before commenting on it. It's very strange. I found it annoying, but I suppose I could learn to live with it.
We had that in John of Bordeaux, if I recall, as well.
Yes, I think. Yes, they did. You're right. It was in John of Bordeaux. Yeah.
Interesting note. Sarah, final thoughts from you?
Just picking up on what Helen said there, I mean, I noticed that as well. And when you're preparing a script, it's difficult to know what to do with those repetitions. And I came to the conclusion that, like, he's meant to be annoying. The more I went through it, I was more like, oh, he's actually quite an arse. But he's a very good arse, and he, like, what I found really interesting about it when I was making, or when I was analysing the script to see what choices he was making, what I found fascinating was the actioning that I was giving to him later on, after he's gone through his, big transformation. The actions he was giving to the lords and to the French Herald especially, he's basically making the same choices that he makes early on with his mates, and then with the people who are antagonizing him, so like the Lord Chief Justice and the Receiver. He's got this playbook that he just maps, he changes direction and then maps his playbook onto a different set of people and makes it much bigger and much more sweeping. And I found that really fascinating, actually, because before I sat down to do it, I thought, oh, well, obviously once he's changed, he's going to become a different man. And he didn't, actually. He was exactly the same man, only just working within a different context, which of course is, like, as far as a study of human nature is absolutely spot on. But I found him quite annoying, but really fascinating to do, and I really enjoyed playing him. Well, I really enjoyed playing him up until the part where I realised I was on the wrong script. I wish I'd known that we were working on a new script, because the second half was actually really, really stressful. But the first half was very enjoyable.
Elizabeth, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I really like this history play. I think it's a bit different to all the other ones that we've done already, because we've done quite a few. And I thought that this one was quite unique. I really like the characters in it. I loved Henry V as well. I like the way Henry V came to the throne, and the way they killed off Henry IV as well. I thought that was really good. So I enjoyed this a lot. I think it was really interesting to read it all the way through and not break it and not pause, because we're used to us breaking it up and having discussions about different things in there. So I think this was an interesting one. Yeah, I think it was very much an interesting one.
I think it definitely stood up in order nicely. Sascha, final thoughts?
Yeah, very enjoyable. I mean, it's the first time I've come onto this particular play with you guys, and I have to say I loved the shape of it. I loved the pace. I love the way the characters are really well rounded, and the whole thing that it's very refreshing, actually, I have to say, to look at it from so many different perspectives rather than just honing in on one particular area. I like the fact that it went all over the place, and yet they seem so different, but it all overlapped. I thought that was really, really good. I enjoyed it.
Eric, final thoughts?
Yeah, I wasn't there for the first time, but I've seen part of the video the first time, and you guys seem to have fun. I think, I don't know, weirdly, I think I preferred like the troublesome reign of King John for some reason, but I don't know why. I think it was just like that the politics were worked out better in terms of like sort of maybe without battle scenes or something, or like sort of the background with the clowns and stuff. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know. I liked it, but like not as much as the other one, which is kind of weird because we all agreed that the other one was like unresolved in some ways.
Yes, the phrase we very, very rarely hear was "I preferred King John." But yeah, Alan, final thoughts?
Yeah, it's an interesting exercise of contrast to the sort of the stoppy-starty way we approached it previously. I mean, I think it ran somewhere around about 80 minutes, doing it continuous. Slightly shorter than I was anticipating.
We're pretty much where I was estimating on that. It's about 14,000 words, so that's under 90 minutes is where I'd place it.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it works. I still have difficulty because I know the rewritten version rather better.
Any other thoughts? Lois, final thoughts?
Well, I mean, obviously, if you've read a lot of who, you tend to recognize an awful lot of bits. I mean, it had an enormous influence across a lot of other works. But apart from that, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the reading very much. I mean, I thought that Sarah was really very powerful as well as moving as Henry, much better than he deserved, I thought. I mean, when you actually read it, most of these people would be operating on the level of 5-year-olds, and especially that stuff near the end where Katherine says she better marry him in case he changes his mind. I mean, really. But it's like so many things. When you play it, it works beautifully.
Dan, final thoughts?
Yeah, I think that I love this play. This is the first time I didn't participate in the other one, so I was really glad when I saw that this was on the program, and that we were reading it straight through as well, because I mean, just like with the Orlando workshop, you just get a different sense of the play when you're reading it straight through there. I think that this is a play that should be, given that Henry V is on a lot of exams, the one that should be taught, because you can get a lot of information just packed right in there to learn it fairly quickly, and it tells the story pretty well. It's back in play. The fact that we know that it was Charlton who died in 1588 to do this just makes me wonder who was in the company at that time period. And as we've seen with other Queensmen's plays, a lot of them have a lot of French in it. This one does not at all. It was the first thing that I noticed, given that there's so many French characters. So it just made me wonder about if they had gotten their later French actor, I don't know, at some other point, or playwright to write this out. Just things I'm thinking
about. Lynn, final thoughts?
Yeah, a couple of unrelated things. I agree with Elizabeth that it feels different. And I would attribute that partly to the fact that it's all in prose. So you don't have that sort of unconscious reality and formality going on. But it has a kind of earthier feel to it, which could be good. That actually could be a good thing. Something that's going to be challenging for a director-producer is the doubling, because you need so many different people in the first 2/3, 3/4, and then it kind of funnels down to politics, and you really just have the French court and the English court. So you have a lot of people beginning with like nothing to do for the last 30 minutes, 20 minutes of the broadcast. So that's
Yeah, sorry, just having a little difficulty hearing. Someone's got some road noise there, so it was cutting out a bit. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. When we first read it, it was laid out, or most of the text was laid out in a sort of not desperately good verse that clearly was nonsense, or seemed to be nonsense a lot of the time. I mean, it may have once have been in verse, but verse Jim, but not as we know it. It's an exercise that maybe individual actors might want to play around with how they lay out the script. But I think to present it to actors as prose is probably the better starting point than to some of the ways it's originally printed, because it's just it's a bit tricksy. Liza, I think you're last.
Oh yeah, that now I fully respect those who like the play. I have to say, I don't like it terribly. I do like doing it like this. I think we learn a lot about it, and I agree with those that say that it plays better than it reads. It's wonderful to, it is wonderful to put it on its feet and get the words spoken as they were meant to be. But we live in an era of weaponized toxic nationalism, and I can't help but see some of that here with the French nobles. I think a lot of it is things that your average English guy on the street at the time, we've been reading through plays of the period where there's a lot of anti-immigrant hatred, and you can see your English audience being really happy about the French nobles kneeling to kiss the sword at the end, that he saves the Dauphin alive for that. I wonder whether it might have been written possibly as a response to Queen Elizabeth's intended marriage to the Duke of Alençon, which looked like it was going to be something that might happen for a while. That, we need a play where it's like, no, the French are evil and we conquered them, and anyway, France should be ours, and here's why. And, or, turning that on its head, perhaps it was intended to promote the marriage by just suggesting that England and France should be joined. I don't know, but in the chat it's been said that the printer was the printer was maybe not a reliable person. I hope this is a corrupt copy, because if it were. Because then I could hope that maybe there's an original that I would like better.
Any other final thoughts or responses there before we close the session? Lois?
Well, there's just one textual point. I mean, you may have picked this up, but the boy has a speech which has been repeated almost verbatim by somebody else in the court only a few minutes later, and it seems to me that it's very odd. The boy is a character. He appears to say those lines, which he doesn't need to say because he's given mother's time anyway. I don't get this.
I wonder if the printed version doesn't contain a bunch of stuff that was cut and moved around, and whether some of the repetition might be down to that. There was certainly, I think there was a market for putting things for printing things in full, even if it wasn't the version that was performed. The other final thought I have is that the clowning works way better than the high scenes, for me, I think.
Just a note on the repetition. We talked about this the first time we went through the play, and tonally totally different. It doesn't feel like it's the same material being randomly repeated. It seems that there is a sort of pointed difference to the language used each time, or that's at least our desperate headcanon that we came up with last time. That the boy's coming in and very breathless, and the mayor is presenting everything in a much more ordered and controlled way. My lord, your son, things, stuff, don't kill me. And so that there's a sort of difference to them that possibly lands with more work. It could just, of course, just be two variations. But I'm always going to go on the principle that we've got the script, and it's a script based on a thing, and therefore that's what it was intended, unless there's direct evidence otherwise. Anyway, anything else to throw in that's different? Any other different opinions, as opposed to repetitions of very similar things that we had before? No, we have reached the end. So that's the end of our second phase look at this. Next time we come round to this, we'll probably have done some actual research. Yes, we'll actually look into some more detail and try and look into its background a little bit more, and go from a position of slightly greater strength in understanding how and why this play ticks, and deciding what we might do with it further down the line. All that remains is to thank all the readers today for their wonderful performances, and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.